Hey guys, welcome back. It is Sharon with Little Britain Company. And I say welcome back. Hopefully some of you have returned for the second part of the video, and maybe some of you are new, but thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. So we're going to jump right in to the second part of the album, the envelope album. In the first part, we went ahead, we made our book, made the gussets for it, and talked a little bit about what we would do right here. So because I know there'll be a heavy cardstock, because cards are heavier, they're pretty heavy cardstock, I'm not going to worry too much about the kind of indentation I'm going to get right here by not adding another piece. However, if I was using something lighter than a card, something that didn't have that weight to it, or that aspect to it, I would add a piece of little cardstock in here. So I would take something and just kind of see. I can see it. I would add it in, because that would actually give me a level surface. That's what I'm looking for. That would give me a level surface, and so if I fit it right in there, I would have been more cautious about what I was doing here. So I probably would have made sure, not probably, I would have made sure that I went all the way across. Okay, so that's what's going on with that one. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit to the cover before we start working on the envelopes, only because I want to put some pieces in place without messing with the weight of what's going to be there in a little bit. So I decided to use some of this pretty sage. It's got this nice little flowery piece running through it, and to me, it looks a lot like his kerchief, or his. Anyway, so I really like this piece, and I want this to be on the front. We're going to frame it out probably a couple of times, and probably not doing all of that at one time. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I get my die cuts everywhere. I want to make sure that I get this down first before we go too far. A lot of people do put, can't even find the opening of this thing, their ribbon all the way around the book. I'm not really a fan of that. I don't like the way it looks, and I don't think it's necessarily necessary. Sure, I'm gonna cut this off because I can't find the end. Oh, come on. We're gonna get into this ribbon at some point in time. What in the world? I can't find an end to it. Well, I'm fighting with the ribbon, or the... Okay, this is silly. Success. Holy cow. Okay. So a lot of album makers will take their ribbon and they will put it all the way around. I don't think that that's necessary in many aspects. You're not really going to be pulling on it. So for me, I just want to make sure that I have a decent size on both sides. I also, in particular, I just don't like the way it looks when it goes over the side. But to each their own. I have done it that way, and I may very well do it that way in the future if there's a need for it. If I think it's going to get a lot of pulling or some tying. But for this one, I think it's going to be fine to just go ahead and put a wee bit down. Measure that out. So I want this to be relatively even. I'm not a huge stickler. These are, this is handmade. It's not machine made, so handmade isn't perfect. It's just not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's almost 8. So we're going to go ahead and try to do it. Right about there. I usually don't do too much of I just don't worry too much about being perfect. I don't worry about, oh my goodness, am I going to get it exactly center? I just don't. I think that so much of this we can eyeball, and there's a reality here, which is I don't think people are as picky as I am. I want my things to last. I want them to look beautiful, but I don't think they need to be perfect. I don't think that everything needs to be exactly centered. There is joy in the abstract. Okay, so I have specifically decided that this part is going to be the front. I don't know why. Well, yeah, I do. It just has to do with the way it's going together for me. So, oops. I'm going to go ahead. Remember, we always want to burnish. That's what's going to help us keep things in place. And I'm not going to, oh, there it is. I'm not going to worry too much, but I am going to add some glue. I'm going to go back a little bit on it. There we go. So what's going to happen here is, of course, you're going to have other layers of fabric anchoring this down. So this is just the first. So number one, attaching the initial ribbon. So here's what I like to do. I like to kind of pull it out a little bit, figure out about how much I want to add. And this may be more than I need. But honestly, better to have a little bit more, probably a lot more, but better to have more than less, because I can cut this down from the middle, but I can't add. So I want to make sure that I've got that down. So we're just adding our ribbon. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. And it probably isn't perfect. It's probably not perfectly centered, but it's pretty darn good. I'm going to pull that out. And there we go. Like I said, easy peasy. All right. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take this. I'm just going to cut off a bit to start with. I will have to go back through and do a quick burn of the edges so it doesn't unravel. Otherwise, yes, it'll unravel. And that actually might be about the right amount. I'm not necessarily a big fan of having so much ribbon there that it catches on itself and it tangles. What can I say? I'm so picky. So picky. Okay. Now, in the last video, we talked about how I was matching up the envelopes to ensure that I had kind of the closest matches next to each other. And I'm going to take one more look through these. Most of these, and honestly, I think it's more pronounced in the light, because when they're together, I just don't think that anyone's going to notice. Certainly not the way I notice. Move that one to the back. Okay. So most of these, I think, are pretty darn close. Once they're together, again, I don't think anyone's going to notice. But if they do, more power to them. Okay, now we are at the truly, 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 truly simple part. This is where we go ahead and we attach our envelopes. So we're going to have a fold out, right? And then, yeah. So it's not a trifold, but we're going to have a fold out. And honestly, I'm just reminding myself sometimes. Okay. So one thing I do need to do, I think I'm going to do, this is hard to do from here. Can I get quite a good angle on this? I'm just going to trim it down a little bit on both sides. Now, if I was putting, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to keep trimming from the top here. Okay. There we go. Okay, that just brings that in kind of nicely. If I was going to fit these on top, that would be kind of the perfect thing to do. So we could take something and literally, when you've cornered it like that, you could slide these right on. We're not actually doing it this way today, but it certainly could be if you added some things to, if you were going to put something else in the front of it. Okay. On my front flap, because I want this one to open like this, I'm going to be attaching 2 envelopes back to back. This gets to stay free. It's not going to be attached. It's not going to be locked down, so to speak. Okay. Keep saying okay. So I'm going to start by simply attaching the first envelope. We're going to give it a quick burnish. Okay, easy peasy. Now to the back of this is where this gets kind of fun and interesting. I could fully attach this to there. It would certainly add some additional dimension to it. It would certainly make it thicker. But what I want is tons of pockets. I want people to be able to put items into this, as many items as they so choose. So instead of my fully attaching it to the back, I'm going to do this. This time I'm going to put here. I don't want to go all the way to the bottom because I don't want it to adhere to the bottom. They gusset to adhere to itself. And then just gonna give myself a nice layer of glue. Honestly, guys, that's about as straight as I've ever done it. And to make sure we get that nice bottom, that's well attached, I'm going to put just a little bit of there. Okay. And I want to line this up and make sure that it is well aligned to the envelope behind it. Now, at the moment, they're looking pretty good. We're going to take a look at that in a second. Okay, that's looking pretty good. All right, so we have the 2 envelopes back to back, and we now have a pocket. I don't want to pull it apart yet because I want the glue to really settle in, but now we're going to have a pocket right in here, right? So we've got some space to put things, notes, letters, more cards, or just pictures. Okay, so far so good, easy peasy. Next, we're going to attach yet another envelope. And this is the part that gets kind of fun. Now, right. So this one trying to remember how I did this. Actually, I know how I did it. I'm trying to think which way I want it to go. So naturally, right now, the way I've set it up, it is naturally wanting to turn in that way. And I think that's okay. I think I might have these two move towards each other. Yeah. I think I'm going to be good with that. So if you could, I think it would be difficult for you to, let me see if I can make this a little bit higher so you can get a better look. I know, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm making it go funky on you. But I really want you to be able to get a better look of it. There we go. Hopefully that's slightly better. Okay. That's a lot higher, so you should be able to see more of it. So we've got these two pieces together, and I need to attach this envelope. Now, if I attach the envelope here, this envelope, remember we're going to leave some space because we have something in there for slide something in. This is where I need this to naturally move in. So if I'm going to do, if I want my fold to go this way, right? I'll attach it to this side. But this one, I've got to attach to this side. If I attach it to this side, if I do this, I'll do it that way. If I attach these two pieces together, then I'm going to have the fold going this way. Okay, I'm talking too much. You know what? I'm talking too much and I'm actually throwing myself off. So I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and work this out. So for this first one, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I will say for me, this is just my style of doing this. I have a tendency to just keep playing with it until I find something that I like. And that doesn't always mean doing a huge amount of deciding ahead of time. Sometimes I decide ahead of time and then realize, oh, well, I like this better, or something to that extent. So I decided I like this better. And I'll show you what I mean. I am taking the flaps of the envelopes. There'll be more to this. I'm going to line them up as best I can. And we're making basically a little envelope sandwich right there. I want to be careful of the glue here. And I want it to be as even as is humanly possible. Luckily, it's a little bit of glue. Move it around. So here's what's going to happen with this piece now. We've now left this center part kind of sticking up. I have not attached it to anything. What that means is I can come along with a card or two, and I can attach the cards here like the Halloween album. So I can attach a card here, put one there. The other thing it means is if I'm using this with my past cards, things that people have sent me, maybe, in 2021 Christmas, a bunch of Christmas cards, I can take them and attach them like this, back to back, right? This is one way we can do it. I can attach these back to back, and then I can still look at the sentiment. I still have this beautiful card. And when I turn it, I have this card. So this becomes kind of its own signature almost, or its own signature within a signature. And then on this side, I could attach, reach over here, yet another card, another sentiment from a loved one or a friend. And then I could leave that open so I can still read it. But it's also created a pocket here. So now I'm getting places to put other things. Maybe some of the cards were smaller, different sizes. Maybe I'd pick the size that was the easiest or the best for me. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. So now that I've got my first envelope in place, and I will say, again, we talked about not being perfect. I want my things to look perfect. I want them to look beautiful, and I want them to last forever. Right now, it doesn't look perfect. It's a little bit askew. We're going to be fixing that as we go. As we start to build the album out, that difference will become so minimal, you really won't notice it. I'll notice it because I notice all of that. But I think most people looking at it and not knowing about it really wouldn't notice it. Okay. So I hope I don't run out of envelopes now that I've decided to do it this way. So with each of these, I'm getting some of these additional folds, and I'm giving myself all of these extra options for envelopes. For pockets. Envelopes? They're all envelopes, Sharon. But we're certainly giving ourselves lots of display space, which is pretty cool. Honestly, I think I'm going to redo one of these after Christmas this year and do exactly what I was talking about. I'm going to make this into an actual this year envelope. Okay. So this one, let me tell you what happened here. This one is down a little bit further than I need it to be. Because when I turn it, you can see it's going just beyond where this gusset is. And I can't have it go just beyond that gusset. And I have a couple of choices here. So one, I can do a little bit of refolding, and probably should have. This needed to go higher. It would not have matched this as well, but it definitely needed to go a little bit higher. It's glue. I could pull it off, and I could go ahead and add that height. Notice here's our pocket now, the one that we made earlier. I think if I pull it off, I'm going to lose something here. So my other option, which is okay, is to create another pocket. So yeah, this is kind of how I do it. I do some pre-planning, and then I make changes as I go, because that's just the way I fly. Okay. All right, guys. So now what we've done is created yet another pocket. We're going to put something here. We'll have a card. Possibly this time I'll add just regular scrapbook paper in. And that's a perfectly fine option. I can add in the scrapbook paper. I'm sure I did it with the other album. I know I did. So we don't have to have cards on every spot. I mean, you may have just a few friends and family, and you don't have millions of cards coming in, or you don't have millions of meaningful ones coming in. And you want to put some special ones in them in an album, but you don't want to fill it with everything. So lots of different options. So we can use regular scrapbook paper on this. I am going to go ahead. This one looks like it came apart a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just going to fix that real quick. Just put, and you may need to do that. Some of the corners on here. Sophia came up to say hi. Sophia is our black lab. And she wants a cuddle from mommy. Yes, hello, I love you. Okay. And then she's shaking to say hi. Okay, so this is, we've got one signature done. Here we go. So we're going to open this here. We're going to have a pocket, and then we're going to have some cards here. We have a pocket in the middle. We open it up, and we have a pocket and a pocket. And then all of this wonderful real estate to put down the things that we want to. Okay. I'm going to stop talking, and I will probably speed this up a little bit. And just let you watch. I may still talk, but then I can just, hopefully put a little bit of beautiful Christmas music over the top of that. Oh, come on. Oh, boy. Okay, so jumping back in here for a minute, clearly I ran into an issue here that I didn't anticipate, which is these envelopes are different enough, the flap is different enough, even though the size of the envelopes is the same, that it really goes way off of the sizing, the one to the other. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this and just pull that off. I don't want those to adhere to each other. Okay. Let's see how we do here. I should have tested it ahead of time like I'm doing these. Okay, that's very fine. So just something to keep in mind. This is a heck of a lot easier if all of your envelopes literally are exactly the same. Okay. Right now, I'm just trying to ease this into place because once it's stuck, it's stuck. And if it's off a little bit, this one's off a little bit. Okay. I think we're doing okay. Okay, we're doing okay here. Yes. Wow, we are going to come down to the end of the line for envelopes. I went off here. Okay. All right, we're doing okay. Doing pretty well. Not to do the wrong one, but that's okay. Okay, we're going to get that one. There you go. Okay. It looks a little funky. It'll be fine once we start putting paper and things down, but it does look a little funky right there, isn't it? Isn't that interesting? It's almost like the envelope, but it looks perfectly straight here. So, you know, when you're dealing with something like these envelopes, again, I can't say it enough for myself, because I really should have looked even harder to make sure I had truly the same envelopes. Or you can save yourself a whole lot of time and heartache by just buying maybe a card set. Go. While I'm here and talking to you guys, oh, I'm gonna run out. Okay. I thought I had, so I'm sorry, I digress. I will say while I'm here and talking to you, I was actually wondering if anyone had ever seen someone do a countdown to Christmas specialty kit for scrapbookers. I'm also a quilter, and there is one, well, there's actually a number of them that they do for the sewing world. There is one in particular that they do. See, I got that one in time. All right, we're going to move this up a little bit. We're going to even this one out. There we go. There are a number of ones that they do in the quilting world, and I was actually looking at one of those this weekend. Considering doing one for myself. Okay. You got some signatures. But I was also considering creating a countdown to Christmas surprise kit for scrapbookers. But as I said, it's been a while and I don't know if that's already out there. Okay. So that's my question. If you know that someone does it, I have kind of started looking and I'm not seeing it anywhere. But if someone's already doing it, I'd be really interested to see that. Okay. So right now we have a whole bunch of really nice signatures, right? We've got this. We can put things on here. We've got pockets. We've got spaces to display our cards. I like it when they open like that. And like that. I've got to keep checking to make sure I'm not gluing it down. There we go. You're also dealing with this, the glue on here is still an adhesive. And as I'm messing with it, my hands, whatever's on. I'm so sorry. You can hear my wonderful little Brit yelling downstairs. I don't know what he just used. He got another instrument. He plays the trombone. And then he wanted to pick up a woodwind. So instead of my buying a whole woodwind, I bought him a recorder so he has some similarity to a clarinet. And we'll see what happens. Okay, so we have 4 signatures, and they're pretty involved. I mean, there's a lot going on here. There is a ton of space in here. Just a ton of storage space. There is a lot of space for you to put in cards, pictures, ephemera, tickets, anything in here. So I'm loving this. My plan has been to put a card here and a card in the back. Now I had already chosen those. At least I had chosen the back one. I thought this would be perfect here in the back. And I think it still will be. But I am going to put something else in the back. I'm looking at it right now and I'm thinking that I'm going to need some kind of paper. So let's decide on a paper pack. Now, I thought I had one out. Oh, there it is. This is the one I think I showed you all. There we go. It was hiding. So I'm actually going to start with this piece in the very back. And I'm kind of thinking about something like that. That's really pretty. So let's go through this just a little bit. Not the Santas, no. Something like this is really pretty. It's gonna mix well with this. I like it. I am not gonna angst over my paper choices. I do that too much sometimes. I just, oh, maybe this. Oh, it could be this one. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything. I'm channeling Ryan Reynolds. So you can probably hear my son. He just went past, little Brit with his phone on, and then he ran into the other room and realized that we were filming. But that's okay. It's okay. It is quite all right. Long days at school. We had to be up and at school an hour early today because this was the beginning of our book fair. So I had to be there. I had to be there for the books to be delivered. So we were at school at 6 a.m. before anybody else. Well, that's not true. Our head custodian is such a lovely person, and he came in an hour early too to let us into the building so that we could do what we need to do. Okay. And be prepared for today. So then the book guy showed up. He was up early. Everybody was up early. I think I was just being lazy. Okay, so far, so good. That is, I love that background. But I probably don't want to do just that. I think that's coming along really nicely. I want to find a nice red to go behind it. Now, I could actually use an envelope. I mean, that's really what we're doing, right? Working with cards and their envelopes. And I think that even if this had a stamp on it because it had been sent to you, I still think that would be really cool. I think it would certainly add to the effect if if you kind of see the writing on the back side of it. I do think I'm going to use the envelope because, why not? So for this one, I'm going to leave it as a card. Best wishes for you and yours and a wonderful holiday season. I love that. And I love the card. So I'm not going to cut this one down. Some of them I probably will. I'll go ahead and chop them in half. Put this aside. I can use it with something else. But with this one, I like the sentiment. I think it's nice. Okay. Sentiment. The sentiment. Not to be mistaken for cinnamon. Oh my goodness. I'm allergic to cinnamon. Okay. That sounds strange. So I'm actually, oddly enough, allergic to the smell that emanates when you chew cinnamon gum or eat cinnamon candy, or that comes off those brooms that people soak in cinnamon. I don't know what they put on them. So all I can imagine is it's some form of fake cinnamon is what I really am reacting to. So it must be some chemical that they put into it, because I have no problem with real cinnamon. I can eat real cinnamon. I like the smell of real cinnamon. When it's in, I cook with cinnamon. I have a problem with that at all. But when it is in, that candy and other stuff, it makes my face break out. So I would not say I am allergic to it. I do not need an EpiPen. But it's just, weird. I'm just weird. It's just an unusual allergy or an issue I have. Okay. All right. We're down. So I like this one. I think it's got a good look to it. I'm going to go ahead and seal it. And I don't need to necessarily seal it. Yeah. We're just going to go ahead and seal it. Pretty close to the same way we would seal it if it was a regular envelope. Oh, wait, it is a regular envelope. Now, personally, I prefer it the other way, but this way is fine too. Okay. So, down goes the envelope. There are just so many cool ways you could do this. I could have layered with a heavier duty red paper. I could have done, there's enough room on this back page that I could have done a triple layer. But I think for this one, we're going to stick with this. So you can see I really am only getting a wee bit of the paper in the back. And I could have also cut that and left another pocket, but I decided not to. And now we're going to put this last layer on top. So you can see why I really didn't need to even out the back. There's a lot of layers here. It's just not gonna, we're not gonna see that. There are plenty of times when I probably would go ahead and layer the back. I'm just not gonna do it with this one. I like to live on the dangerous side. I really don't. I don't. It's funny. I don't even like saying I do. Okay. So there we go. Okay. So our back page is done. Easy peasy. Really pretty. We've got a card displayed here. We've used another paper underneath. We've done a little extra layering. I didn't have to go find additional red paper. Now I have paper, but also if you've just bought cards and envelopes, or if you haven't, if you just have those leftover cards and envelopes, why not use them? Why not? That's what I say. Okay. Now comes sort of the fun part. So I'm going to start to, I like that actually. I think I might keep that out for the top, because I'm looking at it right now and thinking, I love that sage. That is super pretty. And I could put another layer of sage underneath it, or a really light red. Yeah. All right. I'm going to keep that for the front. Okay. All right. Here we go. Fun times ahead. Now I'm going to decide what cards and what pieces are going to go together. I am not using just cards on this. There's a lot to cover here, and I am going to use some of my other paper pack. One of the reasons I'm going to use that too is because it will add the coherence for the entire thing. So those papers go together. They're meant to go together, and that's going to make it even more put together. But first I'm going to clear my space, because now that I have space to roam, okay, I want to use it. All right. So definitely for me, the middle part, this is going to be cards. In the middle, I am not going to leave my cards open. I am going to be cutting a part of the card off and putting those back to back. But again, you can leave them open and it'll be just as gorgeous. So we are going to all right. I'm going to pick something to go in the front. And I actually think, even though I'm using a lot of it, I think I'm going to go... Where did it go? Wherever did it go? All right. I'm going to go ahead and use this. And yep, I'm going to use it on the cover. And I'm probably going to use it on the very back, because I'm looking at it and I'm really liking kind of the cohesiveness and how that's going to bring together my front, my back, my cover. In this particular pack from Hobby Lobby, I have 4 of each sheet. So that gives me plenty to do this with. So I am someone who I do not like to take a measuring tool and measure out spaces that I need. I'm an eyeballer, and it's how I roll. It's just what I got used to. When I started scrapbooking all those years ago, I don't want Little Brick to hear that. He'll come in going, all those years ago. He likes to make fun of mommy. All right. Yes, so when I did start scrapbooking all those years ago, we did not have all of the tools that we have now. Boy, do we have a lot more tools now. So you get used to doing certain things. You get used to doing things a certain way. And for me, that was eyeballing it. Also, it's a lot quicker to eyeball it. It is to measure it. Okay. For right now, I really, really like that. I think it's got to go like this. That just expired to me. Okay. So I really like this continuity that I came across. And again, not, I said I plan it as I go. So I may have a lot of the materials, but I have not pre-planned every page. I haven't necessarily pre-planned every layout. I had an idea of the layout that I wanted on these envelope pages. And then I played with it a little bit once I was, right in front of me. That's just, for me, that's not the way I wanted that. That's just kind of the way I'm comfortable doing it. But I think I am a firm believer of everyone doing it the way they're comfortable doing it. Firm believer of that. Okay. All right. So far, so good, guys. Seriously. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I just love that. All right, so I'm going to paper these sections, and I'm going to card these sections. So what do I mean by that? All right. I think you have figured it out. So what paper do I want on here and here? When you open it up, you already have this kind of nice look going on. Not the sled. Christmas trees could work. Not Santa. I'm using already that one. Gotta say, that's a temptation right there. And so instead of my angsting over it, as I do, let's just do it. Let's just do it. I really want to keep the pine cones. All right. Oh, don't move on me. That's not nice. It's not playing nice. I definitely work from behind my paper, the side that I'm not going to be using. And I think I mentioned this before. I always try to figure out the way I cut it. How can I ensure that I will have the most paper left? Also, again, here I'm gonna clean this out a little bit. Just gonna get rid of some of that extra paper. It's your album. You do whatever you want, but if you so we're doing something like this, I'm sorry, I'm digressing again. Just really think about it as you're lining things up and sort of considering your placement. Remember where this is going to go. I do not want to put glue all the way across here. I'm going to glue kind of here. Did you dry up on me already, you stupid, unpleasant? Fine. I will fall back on him. Okay. So let's get a little bit in. I'm not as used to using the bigger one. I have a tendency to use my small one. So I am actually going to to go around the corners like this, but actually I'm giving it a lot of room, a lot of space, because I really don't want to make a big messy glue situation. At the same time, I really do want good coverage. So I'm just going to make sure that I've covered my corners and my edges by just doing this quickie on these three sides here. That's it. Now, let's put this guy in place. Yep, right there. I'm so glad I went with the cream. And I love the way the red is interacting with it. I really do. Okay, so we've got this nice pine cone going on here. And I'm going to try to put a pine cone up top there. I like that. Okay. I'm still going to measure it this way, though. So I could certainly... I think I just hit my head on the... Let me try this. Make sure that when I measured, I want to make sure that my pine cones are actually in on the measurement, that they're where I want them to be. Okay. Okay, I'm not loving my options there, and that's okay. Sometimes I will take this and I will just move it around so that I have a lot more showing in one way or the other. I'll show you that on the next one, what that really means and what it looks like. What I'm really doing, making space. Okay. I'm super sorry if you can't see the whole thing here as I'm cutting and working it out. I love my Cricut cutter, but I will say I think it goes through blades much faster than the Fiskars. But I also think it cuts slightly better, so maybe there's a reason. Okay. Wow. Okay. 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 I'm saying okay a lot. It's very interesting when you hear yourself so often, you begin to hear some of the things I don't think you normally do. As teachers, we sometimes will film ourselves just to learn more about our own teaching style. And it's not necessarily a bad idea in many situations. That's going to be my open side. Because it really does help us learn more about ourselves, about our own mannerisms, sometimes about the way we handle situations. And the fact that I say okay an awful lot. Or I'm driving myself nuts. There we go. Wow. Okay. I did it again. I'm just going to live with it. I meant the okay. Because I really like this. I like the way that this is looking at the moment. I'm going to cap this real quick just so I don't... Here we go. So I really do like the way this is looking. This is very nice and simple, and at the moment I don't plan on doing a whole lot to these pages. I want them to be open. I want someone to be able to put their own pictures here and to add their own memories. So I don't want to do a lot with it. But since this is an album that I want to have partially done for people, I am going to choose some cards. Now, this would be so perfect with maybe that one. I like those. That one would be nice too. What do we think? I think I like that. I think I'm liking these two back to back. I just have to decide if I want them to do this or if I want it to do that. I know it's not a big difference. I do. I honestly think I want that one to be on top. Okay. So next, I'm just going to cut these out. What's important here, I don't want to lose a whole lot because these are pretty well aligned as far as the amount of space on each side, right? But what I do need to get rid of is the fold, and I don't want to cut along the fold. That actually won't work. Oh, no, yeah, you can see this. Okay. So I'm going to go literally just a tooch to the side of the fold. Just a tooch. There we go. Perfect. Just a tooch. And the same thing on this one. I can't see it that way, so I'm going to turn it this way. But once again, I don't want to lose much of my card. I want to lose as little as is possible. Let's make sure those are perfect. Okay. Now I don't know which one I want to go first. I think I like the contrast here with this one going first. Okay. Super simple. I'm just attaching it. I keep doing that with this one. As I said, if I'm not careful, they dry up so quickly. This one, I keep a pin on the top of it. I'm taking it out and attaching it there. Now, please keep in mind, I do not want to go to the very edge here. If I do that, it's going to kind of mess up my paper because the paper won't bend along that edge. So I don't want to go all the way in. I want to keep it out. It's maybe an eighth of an inch. That looks to be about an eighth of an inch. Okay. Oh no! I did not just do that. Did you all see me doing that and didn't stop me? All right, we should still be okay. Can't believe I just did that. Always watch your orientation. So luckily, I still have this card to put on, so this is not a horrible loss. Just funny. I'm not going to worry about this one this time. Because I already have the other card on there for orientation and for spacing. I'm just going to go ahead and glue up this guy. When I put it down, I will make sure it's going in the right direction. Okay, yes. And now I need to line it up with this one. It needs to be fairly accurate. There we go. All right, look at that. So now you have this lovely space. Again, this is something we're going to add something to this. We're going to make it a little bit more generic because you don't know who may end up with the album. So we don't want this to be too specific, although those are both fine sentiments. But to someone special at Christmas time, I think that, we're going to work on that one a little bit. But the rest of this is gorgeous. These match. They work. Okay. Now, next one. Again, this is not going to be the same plaid. I've done the plaid on the inside. Now I'm going to do something slightly different here. And when I turn it, I'm looking at making this a page layout. It's funny. This is sort of something that comes up when I'm doing yearbook this year. And when we start talking about page layouts, and it has to do with the way you set up. Page 1 is sort of an entity to itself, but then pages 2 and 3 have to have some kind of cohesion. Actually, a lot like these pages have to have some kind of cohesion. So, all right. So for this one, I can do anything I want. This is going to be slightly different as long as it's in the same vein. That one is so funky right there. We'll have to fix that as we go. We will. Now, I could add a card there. I'm just going to skip through this stuff. See if there's something here I like. I like the poinsettias. Oh, see, the pine cone kind of works, doesn't it, guys? Because it's going to have almost like it's continuing on with what's inside the pages. So I've got pine cones here, and I open it up, and I've got those pine cones there. I really like that. However, I definitely want it to go like this. So I will lose more paper on this one than I would like, but I'm not doing a whole lot else with this one. All right. Well, I don't know why I put that away. I'm going to have to measure it up. Okay, so I'm going to do my normal measurement. Again, this is just kind of how I learned to do it. Just a few years back. Just a few. Okay. So now I'm going to move this guy out of the way. I know where I want him. And I know where I want that. All right. This one's a little bit harder to decide how I'm going to save the most paper. And there we go. Let's get my orientation down. Okay. Yes, I think that is... Now I'm not sure. I'm just going to pick something and go with it. Okay. So, yeah, we were up super early. And it's an interesting year to do a book fair. The company that I use, I love them, and I love their conditions. They are not well, I'm not gonna say they're not one of the big name ones, but I definitely think that the conditions for media centers are better. If you're not familiar with how they work, sometimes when you go with one of these, you have to decide ahead of time, do you want money so you can buy what you want for your media center, or do you want books? So when I first started doing this, I said, well, why can't I have both? Why can't I use some of the money for books and some of the money for this? Oh, no, you can't do that with most of the big ones. And then I found this company that said, well, why in the world would you not be able to do that? Sure you can. And by the way, you're going to get a much bigger percentage back on your books, and we're going to actually give you cash. We're not going to make you buy things through our own company, which is what a lot of them do. So I love this other company that I go with. But, so I say that, and there's a but. This particular book fair this year, it's a little bit light, so they didn't have quite as much to send us. They did work with me because my timing, we had some communication snafus from the end of last year to the beginning of this year, so they absolutely worked with me. Love that. Oh, I love that so much. I know what I want to do with one sheet of this. Yes, I'm sorry. I know. I went off on a tangent on you. Look, guys. What if we do that? And that. On that front. This and this. There it is. I have no idea. I was talking about book fairs, I guess, but then I saw this beautiful piece, and I just went, oh, I think I love that. What do you think? So we'll do that, and then that, and then that guy. Oh, I seriously love this. I'll put a couple little glittery bits in here. All right. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I know. Anyway. So But like I said, they're a little bit light. Like our Battle of the Books, we always get in a whole series of Battle of the Books, and they just didn't have them. I think that it is tough right now, man. I think it's really tough. I think there are still some serious issues. I'm going to use this one. I like that one. With getting materials in. I think everybody is still struggling with that, which is kind of a pain. It is kind of a pain. Okay. We're going to go with that. But I'm going to try to roll with it. They are supposed to be sending me a few more things tomorrow, because right away we ran out of kind of the toy stuff that kids like to play with, slime and things like that. So I have, by the way, the train has left the station because I have completely forgotten where I was. I get talking to you guys and then I get concentrating on getting these pages in and finding something pretty to put here. What I wanted to do here was to ensure I had something really pretty on both sides. I gotta do it this way. Really? Why is that so much bigger? It is. Is this one? Oh, this is the one I chopped down a little bit. Okay. That's why that's bigger. But when I have it on here, you'll see it as both sides. So you can kind of see how that's going to look. You don't need me to show you like that. You just need me to do it. See, I'm just not used to company. Can't take me anywhere. This Sunday, we went over to my son and daughter-in-law's house and had a lovely afternoon. And Big Brother taught Little Brother how to make his own bread. So they made sourdough bread. Super fun, and I had a chance to sit and just have a really nice sit-down talk with my daughter-in-law. Not talk, I mean, we just sat there and chatted about all sorts of things. It was just really lovely, lovely, lovely afternoon with them. Okay, this has got, I'm going to do it that way. Yeah, I'm going to do it that way. So anytime I get to spend with any of my children is lovely. And my daughter called from England the other day while I was at work. And I hated, oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to bash into the camera. I hated not being able to talk to her. The timing is so off when she's in England and they are 5 hours ahead of us. So, sweet girl that she is, she did not mean to call during the workday. And now I haven't had a chance to call her back. Things have just been so nutty. I miss her. I miss all my children. Because they don't live with me anymore. Well. Our middle two actually lived in England. When we moved here, they stayed back with their mom. And it just means I miss them. But, oh, come on. There we go. But that is the way it is sometimes. You can see that I pulled that up, and that was just a necessity. But with the glue, as I said, I can do that. If that had been anything else, I really wouldn't have been able to do that. So I'm going to go for some continuity on the inside here. I'm going to match these together and these together. I don't know that I'll do the full 4 sections. And then we have to pick cards. So this time I think I might look through the cards and decide which cards I want to put on before I decide. Get this stuff out of the way. I am so sorry. I'm reaching all over. It's like at a dinner table. I was taught better than that. I think this time I'm going to go ahead and make a decision about what's going to go on the inside, which will help me decide better. Okay. What's going to go where? I think that goes with either of them. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually just kind of doing a quick pre-sort. I know I don't like to sort, but for these, I think doing a quick pre-sort was necessary. So these are, to me, they have a similar palette. So I'm going to put those here. These have a similar palette color-wise. Our Merry Christmas, he's a little bit different, but I think I actually know what I'm going to do with him. And then these they're very green, so we'll see what happens with these, and I may not use them. This one can actually go with, honestly, it could go with this palette over here, but I'm going to leave that one in the middle for right now. So those are my palettes. I'm going to go with the red on this one, because as I said, I love this tree. I just think it's just adorable. So what do I want to have happen here? Like that. So if I do that like that, and then this guy and this guy here, and then I'm going to pick something with a little bit more red in it this time. I could do that one. But I think I'm going to go a little bit more whimsical. That was pretty too. Yeah, I think we're going to do some of the bulbs. I'm kind of thinking maybe the Santa. He's a little dark. I know. He's a little bit dark. Actually, I think I'm going to have to hold off on the Santa. I just think he goes so well with this one, but he's just kind of dark for where we are in this space. But I love this one. And looking at it now, I think I'm actually going to use this across the spread. It'll be here, 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 and here. So when you open it, you have that really cool effect of having lights crossing the entire expanse. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to pull 2 sheets to start with, and then we'll see. I'm going to pull 3 sheets to start with. I'm going to pull 3 sheets to start with, because this has a direction to it. So not all of your patterns are directional. This one is absolutely directional, and I don't think I'm going to get more than 1 piece out of each one. So I'm probably going to need the 4th one, but we're going to give it the old college try. All right, so these are going to go here. I'm going to start by cutting these down and prepping these. Just for you, I'm going to try. It's not my favorite, and I hope it works because I don't have a lot of space here. So I'm going to do 4 3/8 by, I'm not doing it. I can't do it. And I'm not writing all that down. That is my other thing. I don't want to write it all down. If I stopped and did it that way, I would have to write every single one of those numbers down, and I don't want to. Feel like a little kid throwing a tantrum. I don't want to. So let's cut these down. And if you recall, when we cut these down, we want to make sure that we cut just over the side of the mountain fold, so we don't interfere with that. So we don't want to catch that fold. We want to go just a smidge. I feel like that sounds like a spoonful of butter. Just a smidge full of movement makes the card cut so well. The card cut so well. Card cut so well. Just a smidge of movement makes the card cut so well. If you go across the line. I am so sorry. I do not mean to torture you with my singing. Okay, that one's going to go, yep, like that. That and that. So I'm going to go ahead and put the cards in first, just to make sure that I get them in the right destinations. So my next ones are going in here. If you're still with me. You guys are troopers. Seriously, sticking with me. I really appreciate it. I wanted this to be nice and easy and quick. So what I'm probably going to do, because here it's getting a little bit late and it is getting pretty close to time for me to stop and go spend some time with little Brit. Night times, that's really our time. Work, he goes to my school where I teach, but where I teach is a half an hour away. I just realized I was taking that maybe off the screen. So I teach, you know, have a little bit of a drive. So he comes to school, that's where he goes to school, and it's kind of lovely for us because that means we get some lovely time together in the morning, just the two of us. I love it. So that's part of our time. And then in the evenings, we read. Okay, there's one of your folds. Loving how this comes together. So I know I said I don't plan. And although I kind of mean that, you can see that there is a plan here. There is a functionality. I'm sorry, I'm going to move that around just a wee bit more. There we go. It's kind of traveling on me. Here we go. There's a plan-ish. You know, I had already picked cards that had some... What's the word I'm looking for? I had already picked some cards that had some alignment, I guess is the right way to put it. So that I knew there we go. That when I started putting them together, I would have this, I would have a spread that made sense. It would have some continuity to it. It would have the same flavor. I had already picked the paper pack. Now, I didn't necessarily know which papers that I wanted to choose from it until I did it. That's, golly, way too much planning ahead for me. But I definitely knew that. So this is about kind of, for me, it's about gathering those materials and then making final decisions based on the choices that I've created for myself. Okay, I'll write that down a little bit. This is coming together pretty well, but this is a all right. So, having said that, these cards align perfectly here, but they're not aligning perfectly right there. And this one is a little bit off. I will go back through and I will trim that so you don't see it. I'll either trim it or I'll do something like a little inking on it. Just, you know, for it to make sense. Go down in there. Okay. All right. So we have cards. I'm really liking the way that's turning out. And yes, I do sound surprised, but I don't always know. You know, I hope and I think I've got some continuity, and then when it does come together, I am so stinking delighted. I cannot tell you. All right, now, so it doesn't really matter. I can do it this way. I'm going to try to do it this way. This is harder because normally I would be all up. See, I just hit you. Sorry. Whenever I knock into the camera, it does feel like I'm hitting you guys. And I do not want to do that. Okay. So I'm looking at this now, and I am pretty doggone sure I am not going to be able to get 2 pieces out of this. Yeah, I was just counting it off on the side here. So I will end up using all 4 pieces of this one just to get the continuity that I want on the inside, because I really do want that. I really like what I'm looking at there. So let's go ahead and cut this thing backwards. It doesn't matter. It truly does not matter. I'm kind of trying to decide, This one's a hard choice about where I want the most paper, because you can see I'm going to have some interesting offcuts, but that's the way we roll, right? All right. Now also kind of look at this continuity here. Look at how that kind of works with that one. So we do have some interesting movement going on here. It's cute. Gotta make sure your glue doesn't dry up. Oh, right over the edge. Now again, if my paper was thinner, well, I just would not use a thinner paper on this particular album. On some albums, when you're putting paper on paper, it's not a big deal. But do keep in mind, when you're using thinner paper, applying glue is a difficulty. That's when you want to be using your your tape. Okay. Because the glue will show through. It just will. It's the nature of it. Okay. I'm just making sure I didn't. I was thinking, did I? I didn't do that. So I do have to remember not to glue down our pockets. So I'm trying to remember not to glue down the pockets. Put that way. Actually, I think that one's off. That's better. Okay. So I want to look at this. Now, this is different, and you can see for this pocket, this is the right size, and this is why I'm not going to use just one size. I think this is the one, yeah, this is the one I had to cut down. But when you run into things like that, I prefer every single measurement. I'm going to take it independently. It's just how I roll. Now, I am sure that I, at some point in time, will run into a very good reason to not do it that way. To do my measurements, I'll have, if I have something that I know for sure it's going to measure out perfectly, and I'm not going to have problems with my measurements, so happy to do it that way. Okay, remember this time I'm watching out for my pocket. So just like we did on the other side. Okay, and with this guy, we're going to put just the 3 sides. If I can do it. There'll be plenty of glue elsewhere, but we just want to make sure that we're leaving that pocket space open for anything, you might want to put in there. I'm sorry. Okay. Next one. I will say this is a bit of a pain, but it's necessary. I see people using it and they don't cap it, and I don't understand how they get... Why do they get away with it and I can't? It's just so unfair. It's not unfair. I'm sure they're just better at it than I am. And that's okay. Because I love watching some of the other crafters out there. They're just truly amazing and super fun to watch. I have seen several crafters do something with envelopes. I do think that what I'm doing is slightly different from what some other people do. I have my own flavor to it. But there are certainly other people doing a lot of things with envelopes. And the one that really comes to mind is Helen Griffin. She's a British artist and does truly amazing work. If you have a chance, you should check her out. Oh man, I just flummoxed that one. I felt it twist. Well, maybe not. Hopefully it'll be okay. Let's take a look. See if I messed it up. Okay. So this particular size is the right size for that one and that one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my last light bulb paper. Light bulb. Despicable Me. If you have not seen Despicable Me, I do quote kids' movies certainly more than I should. I am definitely a moviegoer. I love movies. I love going to the theater. I really do. And we do not go much anymore. It was something my eldest and I used to do all the time. And we had our own thing. We would go because when he was growing up, it was really just the two of us for many years. And honestly, until he was 19. But when he was growing up, we would definitely go to the movies. I could not afford to go to I couldn't afford to take us to the movies like, prime time movie time. I couldn't do it. We couldn't afford it. But we could absolutely afford the matinees, or sometimes they would have like a specific day that would be less expensive. Those were my jam. Things like like even now when you get the theaters do something where when you're part of their club, you get free popcorn, and they've got a special, I think it's Tuesday. It was before the pandemic. But and that was our thing. We would on Christmas, because for many years, again, it was just the two of us, and I did not live as close to my family when he was little. And then we moved closer, and we would spend, a lot of our Christmas with Grandma and Grandpa. But movies was our thing. So after, make sure I got that one right. That's the way it goes. Okay. Christmas evening, when all the presents were opened and we'd had a chance to play and maybe read a little bit, because you always get a book. Always get a book on Christmas. Then we would go, there would usually be some special movie out. And I will say for Tyler, sorry, for the eldest, we got to see such wonderful Christmas movies. All the Harry Potter movies were coming out, and all of the Lord of the Rings movies came out around the same time. So we really had some amazing choices. So there were Christmas movies, and then after we had eaten Thanksgiving meal, we would go see a movie. So Christmas Day, we would go after we were done opening and doing things. It would be like a late afternoon. And then forget to do that. On Thanksgiving, we would often go see a movie after eating, because we would always eat closer to noon, especially with Grandma and Grandpa. I just messed that one up. Darn it. Okay. Let me fix that. Whatever. This is why you just gotta look and double look and triple look. Anyway. Did I just do it? No, that's right. Oh, golly. I will get it at some point in time. Here we go. Yeah, movies were a great final part of our day, and they always gave us something interesting to talk about. When I was growing up, my father actually owned a couple of movie theaters, so I, was raised on theaters. They were good things. All right, look at all these pockets that we have now, guys. We've got a pocket there and there and there and there, and we're just, this is lovely. We're swimming in pockets. Okay, but we're also only about halfway done. So notice we're starting to get a little bit thick here. Kind of figured that we would be. It is absolutely time for me to stop for a little bit and go spend some time with Little Brit. So I promise you, we will come back to this, and I will finish it up in the final installment number 3. Thanks for being with me tonight. I really appreciate it. If you're feeling the urge or you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button, and have a great evening. Cheers.